hope for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Ebot Temple joins me in the studio. Good evening to you, Temple.
It's a beautiful evening. Good to be here.
And of course, Mr. Peter Abaji joins us as well. Good evening to you, Mr. Abaji.
Good evening to you, Kingsley Manuel and Eko Temple. Eko is already a Brazilian and South African now because I can see it putting on. That should be South African jersey.
This is the Brazilian jersey. Okay. All right, Mr. Abaji, let's quickly move on as we take a look at the situation of things with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. All right, we saw what happened yesterday with the Super Eagles of Nigeria in that game against South Africa. It ended 1-0, in that game. And as it stands now, Nigerians are now calculating, trying to make sure they get their calculators to see if there is still hope at this point in time. Before we talk about if there is still a chance for the Super Eagles to qualify, what do you make of that game yesterday, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Where did it go wrong? Because everyone was, there was hope, before that encounter. What really happened? Where did it go wrong for the Super Eagles against South Africa yesterday?
Yes, Kingsley, I must tell you that totally disappointed with the performance of the Super Eagles of Nigeria yesterday. That was one match that I'd expected them to put in 120% if possible, because 3 points would have, brightened their chances of making it to the World Cup finals next year. But the guys came into that party like it was a friendly game and there was really nothing at stake, for them yesterday. Look at the players. I think the only players that I want to believe gave their all in that game are the goalkeeper, Stanley Nwabali, Calvin Bassey, Benjamin Franklin, Bright Osai that came in for injured, Ola Aino. And these were basically the guys that actually made their presence count in the field of play. For the midfielders, Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Iwobi, the attackers, Ademola Lukman, including Moses Simon, who operated from the left-hand flank of the field of play. Their performance was totally a shadow of what it should be. The result yesterday is also an indication that Nigeria should just forget about qualification for the World Cup finals next year. Because if you look at the league table, right now, from Group A to J, the countries in second position in the various groups all have 15 points, 16 points, and 19 points. The only country that Nigeria appears to be better than in terms of a number of points gathered so far is Tanzania, with 10 points in second position in their group. And they all have 2 more matches to go. If Super Eagles wins their remaining 2 games, it will be 17 points for them. If these countries on 15 points, 16 and 19 points win 1 out of their remaining 2 games, it's going to be 18 points, 19 points, and 22 points for them. So how can Nigeria qualify as a best loser or for the playoffs? So it's going to be pretty difficult for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We bundled our chances from the very fourth day of the qualifiers, talking about match day 1, where we had series of draws. We failed to win matches at home that we ordinarily should have won by a large margin. Whether CAF deducts 3 points from South Africa or not, it won't affect what the top of the table will look like. Benin Republic today is on 14 points. The Super Eagles on 11 points. They've scored more goals than the Super Eagles of Nigeria. What makes you think the Super Eagles of Nigeria will beat Benin Republic to climb up to 14 points? So you can agree with me that Super Eagles qualifying for the World Cup finals is going to be like a capsule going through the eye of a needle. Kingsley.
All right, a lot of fingers, pointing at Coach Eric Chell, that he's of course the reason we are in this situation, talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Will you blame Eric Chell for what has happened, talking about what has happened to the Super Eagles in this World Cup qualifiers?
Well, when you lose a game, the coach is held responsible. When you win, we praise the coach. We sing his praises to high heavens. So the coach should be able to accept responsibility for this one. That yes, we did not bring our A game to the party because the tactics I deployed did not work according to plan. And why would you drop, why would you, pair Benjamin, and Truth Akon in the middle? Meanwhile, in the game against Rwanda, we saw a Benjamin and a Calvin Bassey that did pretty well in the center and back position. For 90 minutes, they kept the Rwanda, attackers, at bay. And you're going to South Africa, knowing fully well that the South African players are quicker and faster than the Rwandan player. You brought in Truth Akon, who is pretty slow. You're not trying to slow down the tempo of the game. If you want to do that, you do it at the middle, in the midfield, and not in the defense line, in the center back position. So you can saw how difficult it was for Truth Akon to run backwards to go defend that attack before that own goal incident, which is a mistake. It can happen to any player. But the most important thing for me is that coach should have continued with Benjamin and Calvin Bassey, at the center and back position. But the coach knows best. We have lost, and it's time for us to start pressing our calculators, punching our body, doing permutation to see if we can, get qualification through the back door. We should forget about all qualifications through the back door. We should just start planning for the next World Cup finals in 2030. Eric Mitchell to be blamed. Eric Chell to be blamed. The Nigeria Football Federation also have a role to play in all of this. When this qualifier started, how did they handle the imbroglio between the former coach Finidi George as well as Victor Osimhen? And how was Finidi George able to manage his very first game? Finidi George lost touch with reality when he couldn't manage, some of these big stars in the Super Eagles setup. Yes, maybe his employers, the NFF, did not give him the desired support, the desired backing to carry out what he wanted to carry out in the national team setup. But again, when you have the opportunity to build a national team, you should stand your ground, and ensure that the right thing is done. If your employers are not giving you the support, you just take a walk out. Perhaps he did that, but our stats has hunted us up to this point. If we had won our first 2 games or first 3 games, we won't be where we are today. And we are back to what we used to do in the qualifying stage. Then we begin to press our calculators to see whether Nigeria can eventually qualify at the end of the day. Perhaps if we had won, that would have taken us to 13 points. Then we'll be thinking of maybe finishing as one of the best losers, winning our remaining 2 games and ending on 19 points, and which will be at par with some other countries in other groups. By eventually we just won out in the remaining 2 games. But for what it is right now, Kingsley is bye-bye to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Once again, back-to-back, we will have to watch the World Cup finals without Nigeria participating.
I would like to ask, what does this mean? Looking at the fact that, of course, we're already at the verge of being eliminated from the qualifiers, as it stands, because our chances are very slim in terms of qualifying, for the World Cup as it stands. And for what it is, if the Super Eagles do not maybe qualify to play in the World Cup, come next year, what does this mean? Or how would this impact, football down here in Nigeria?
Simply, it means the likes of Victor Osimhen might not have the opportunity of playing at the World Cup finals. It means a player like Ademola Lookman might not have the opportunity of playing at the World Cup finals. It means a player like Stanley Wabali might not have the opportunity of playing at the World Cup finals because these players have gone past the age of 24, 25. In another 4 years, we might likely have some new kids on the block who will be firing on all cylinders. Players from the under-20 are progressing to the senior national team. Players from the under-23, transiting into the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So this was one golden opportunity that this current generation of players have to be at the World Cup finals. But and again, they bundled it against South Africa yesterday. We drew against, I think, Zimbabwe at the Gulf Accra International Stadium in Puyo. They had an opportunity to seal all 3 points in that particular game. But look at what happened. They considered the late minute equalizer. So we are where we are today because these players don't understand what it means to don the green, white, green colors of Nigeria. If you look at the class 94, class 96, class 98, and 2000 you understand what commitment is all about when it comes to playing for Nigeria at the World Cup finals. What the performance means yesterday is that this generation of players will settle it. 75% of them will not be part of the qualifying campaign series for the 2030 World Cup finals.
Mr. Baji, before we let you go, just like you said, our chances of qualifying looking very slim, as it stands, which Nigeria, of course, might not qualify at the end of the day. What should be done at this point in time to make sure we stabilize football, especially with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, down here in Nigeria, to make sure whenever it comes to qualifiers like this, we'll, of course, find ourselves in a comfortable position. The last coach that qualified Nigeria for the World Cup was Coach General, but during his time, of course, we understand there were a lot of criticism. Nigerians were saying he couldn't handle the team. The pattern of football was not good enough, and the man has to leave. And we've gotten 3 coaches now, and as it stands now, they are unable to help us qualify for the World Cup.
I think the Nigerian Football Federation needs to do right now is to ensure that players that are very relevant to the national team setup are invited to the Super Eagles of Nigeria camp. Players that are ready to die for the green, white, green colors of Nigeria are given the opportunity to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And should Eric, the current coach, be shown the exit door, I think the NFF should continue with the current manager right now for a long time to come. This is a building process for the Malian coach. I didn't expect magic from him because we started very poor. Allow him to continue with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and let's begin to think of 2030. Let's begin to invite players who are ready to die for the green, white, green colors of Nigeria. Let's not invite players who put 120% in their clubs. If they come to Nigeria, they put 60% for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Take every advantage of the available FIFA windows for friendlies after now. We have the Nations Cup finals, next year. Yes, around the corner, and I think that we'll start building for the Nations Cup finals. Thank God we've qualified for the Nations Cup finals, and let's see the performance of the Super Eagles of Nigeria under the current coach right now. And the NFF too, they have to be business-like, moving forward. They have to be business-like moving forward. They have to start thinking out of the box how to get the business done on the field of play and off the field of play. Today, countries in West Africa, in East Africa, in North Africa, in South Africa don't respect the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They don't command the kind of respect that they commanded some few years ago. Referees coming to officiate matches involving the Super Eagles of Nigeria against any side, know that they are coming in for big business. But today, Nigeria is just like every other ordinary team on the continent of Africa.
All right, Mr. Abadi, just one last question. We understand, of course, you were in Delta State covering the National Youth Games. And, of course, we understand that Lagos State came top in that particular award. What do you make of it? Lagos State dethroning the host and defending champion Delta State in the 9th edition of the National Youth Games?
Kingsley, I can tell you the only reason why I left Asaba Delta State Capital happy is that we have a new champion at the end of the National Youth Games in Team Lagos that came prepared from day one. They said they have come to Asaba this time around to win, not just to make the numbers or finish in the top 3 or 4 bracket like Arsenal will do in the APL. For them, it is to win. From day one, they started winning the gold medals. In swimming alone, they won about 19 gold medals in swimming. Beating Delta State, Bayelsa State, Edo State, and Ondo State to the gold medals in the pool. And I think the school sports thing is beginning to work in Lagos State. They are beginning to take it very serious, though there were issues of age cheats, where I saw athletes that should be competing at under 20 and under 23, athletics meets and not to come participate at the National Youth Games. In fact, I was talking to a lady who is an official of the Delta Sports Council, and she said her daughter in the university, a year 2 student in the university, saw her classmate representing one of the states because she looks younger than her age. It is that bad. So what is an undergrad is doing at an under 15 youth fiesta? Yes. Most of the states at this level want to participate to win at all costs. I keep saying that our sports festival at under 15 and under 17 level, it's all a developmental program. You discover these talents at that age and nurture them to podium performance. But no, that is not in the dictionary of some sports administrators in the country who wants to impress their sports commissioners, impress their governors that they participated and won medals by bringing athletes that are way above the age of 15. I do hope that the National Sports Commission can do something about this so that if we are discovering athletes at under 15 level, let them be between the age of 13 and 15. By the time they get to the age of 18, 20, 21, we can start having a mental picture of where these athletes will finish. Today, we cannot have a program for these athletes that in another 5 or 6 years, you're going to be not just a national champion, but an African champion. Because an athlete that is 22 participating at under 15 sports championship, by the time you expect him to be a continental champion at the age of 20, this athlete is already 27, 28, has gone past his or her prime depending on the sport that he or she is participating in. And you begin to count numbers. You did so well at under 15. How come this athlete is struggling to make impacts at the senior level? Let's get them right at the grassroots level. Let's emphasize school sports. They are using NIN today. Some states are falsifying their NIN data for their athletes just to make sure that they fit in and participate. But if we ensure that athletes that will come for the National Youth Games must be in the secondary school cadre, you get their birth certificates, get the names of their school, and verify from their school whether these students these athletes are actually students of this school before they travel down to the host city for the National Youth Games. And I think if we do that, it's going to be better for Nigeria in the future.
So, Mr. Badje, are you saying that Lagos State actually paraded overage athletes at the National Youth Games?
No, I've not said Team Lagos paraded overage athletes. Okay. I said the entire festival is was bereft of athletes.
Okay.
I saw so many athletes that have gone that are way past the age of 15. Team Lagos came with Team Lagos contingent at about the youngest in the championship. Don't forget, I said Team Lagos State is beginning to take school sports pretty seriously, and that is why they have been able to achieve what they have achieved. That does not mean to say that you don't have 1 or 2 athletes that are above the age of 15 in their mix. But generally, we have so many athletes that are way above the age of 15. I think the 2023 edition, in terms of athletes within age bracket, I think it's far better than what we had in 2024 and what we had in 2025. The last 3 years that as I've also said, 2025, I would say, is just the worst in terms of athletes within age brackets.
Mr. Badje, of course, I understand that you based in Rivers State, and let's talk about Team Rivers, at the National Youth Games. They finished in the top 5, at the National Youth Games. What do you think could be responsible for the probably, to say, little setback we saw from Team Rivers at the National Youth Games?
Team Rivers were not there at the 8th edition last year. I'm aware these kids prepared, their parents released them to be part of the games, but unfortunately the then Sports Commissioner, Barrister Christopher Green, told them there is no money for them to be part of the National Youth Games in Asaba. Fast forward to 2025, parents are not willing to make their kids available because they told most of the coaches that last year we released our children, they trained for months, and only for them to be told that they will not be part of the youth games because there is no money. And what makes you guys think that there will be money this time around? And they were only sure that they will be part of the National Youth Games in Asaba about 1 week into the zonal qualification series. That was when funds was made available for them to go to Europe for the zonal elimination. And of course, funds was also released for the athletes to go to Asaba. So what it means is that they didn't have enough time to train because of the response of the ministry, last year. So I do hope that they will get back to work right now, begin to start training planning for the 2026 edition of the National Youth Games so that their performance will be an improvement on their 10th place finish with 5 gold, 5 silver, and 14 bronze medals.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Baji. We really do appreciate your time with us on the show this evening.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll take a break, and of course, when we return from the break, of course, Temple is still in the studio. We'll get his thoughts on the possibility of Super Eagles of Nigeria qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. Stay with us right back.
12 years for this, so drink it in. Still goes to Ireland. Well, he'd love to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79, it's a goal, it's 8 goals.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country. Greenwoods went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it.
You're welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we've been talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Is there still a possibility for the Super Eagles to qualify for the World Cup after playing a 1-1 draw against South Africa in Bloemfontein? And of course, Temple is still here in the studio. Temple, what's your take on this? Super Eagles of Nigeria are at the verge of being eliminated in the World Cup qualifiers, and Nigerians are asking, is there still hope? Can we still qualify? I don't know if you have the answer to that question.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of persons after that game were greeted with a lot of pessimisms, okay? And clearly you understand, because when you see Nigeria caged in the situation that they are now, 11 points, after a few games, you ask yourself, we've drawn 5 games. It's unforgivable to know that a team drew 5 games and you want to go to the World Cup. I mean, it shows that we're not serious in this part of the divide, okay? So I understand why a lot of people think that the possibility of going through is very slim, if not diminished. And of course, too, if you look at the standing and the permutations, even the calculations, you agree with them, or regardless of the sentiment, you would think that we cannot escape from this quagmire. We cannot escape from this embarrassment, because failure to qualify for a Mundial like the World Cup after 4 years is an embarrassment. And not just an embarrassment, failing to qualify back to back to back is an embarrassment. And I think that's why a lot of people are very pessimistic about the national team, and nothing about the national team, resonates some sort of feelings or patriotism. Somebody told me yesterday that instead of me to go and watch the game and get my mood, battered, why not just go and chill out with my... And truly, why I called him that we play the one of the hope of qualifying. He said, I said it, I already knew, and that's why I don't watch the Super Eagles game. This is just one among many Nigerians who have lost confidence in the national team. Why all this? It is because when it matters, we do not. Even Ghana who struggles, last 2 games they had issues, and Coach Aldo was almost, beaten in the press conference. As I speak to you today, Ghana, they are topping their group, hoping that they can still pick a ticket. So, and you ask yourself, how can you play games and you just win only 2 games in the qualifiers? It's a shame. And to say the least, it shows that we are not serious about football, especially among Committee of Nations. It's a situation where you see Tunisia qualify, you see Morocco have already qualified. You ask yourself, what went wrong? I think that a lot of things needed, but mathematically and the rule of saying, or the myth of believing that football is not done and dusted, it's not over and it's over. Maybe we'll just wait and see 2 more games or 2 more rounds of games to wrap up the qualifiers. Can Nigeria win their 2 games and even qualify? Because a lot of people think that if this game had not been played yesterday, some people will say, we'll beat South Africa, we'll beat them. I know Nigeria. We have played 13 times prior to that game yesterday. We have won 7 times, we have drawn 5 times, and then we have lost once to South Africa. So a lot of people believe that, okay, that tomorrow we can go away from home and beat South Africa. That was the belief, but come on. Unfortunately, we have a team that, are not hungry like the South Africans. I don't think the South Africans were very fantastic yesterday. I think that we are not hungry, because if you see a team that is hungry, you will know. The Moroccans, the royal this of Morocco, you see the way they play big teams or small teams, they bash you 5-0, 4-1, 4-2, just like that. They win that game in clinical finish. And you ask yourself, what is happening to the Super Eagles of Nigeria? So I think that our hopes are dented, and we need to rebuild ourselves. No matter what you do, playing to the finals of the African Cup of Nations will not even cure the pain of not being in next year's African World Cup. I tell you the truth. And that means we need to win that trophy to hold Solis. It's okay, we are now, but then it will not cure the pain of back-to-back, exit or not being part of a revamped World Cup. So I think that we have the lessons to learn. Unfortunately, when we talk about these lessons, we don't learn truly. And then we major in the minor and then minor in the major. That's the country that we are.
Let's talk about the impacts of Nigeria not qualifying for the World Cup. Just like Mr. Abaje said, a player like Victor Osimhen has never played in the World Cup. Ademola Lookman as well. The next World Cup after the 2026 comes up in 2030. And some of these players are in their 26, 27. Some are even 28, as you speak. So the possibility of them playing in the 2030 World Cup is not really there. It's not really guaranteed at this point in time. What do you make of it? A player like Victor Osimhen plays very fantastic football in Europe and as well for national team and couldn't test the World Cup. Ademola Lookman, and the rest of them. How do you see this? What do you think could be responsible for this one? Is it that the players themselves not really determined to head to the World Cup, or probably the poor administration from the Nigerian Football Federation?
I think we're going to divide the blame and spread it across. No player wants to play for the national team without playing for the World Cup. Nigeria is a brand, and being part of the most populous black country on planet Earth it's positive when you qualify, because when you are the most populous black nation, it comes with pride, it comes with some economic advantage, it comes with some promotional deals, and a lot. The players, who are selected to play at the World Cup gets recognition, they are watched, they are seen, clubs will come for them, they make bigger money, their transfer fee increases after each Mundial they participate. Just like we saw in the Super Eagles of Nigeria when they got to the finals. Some players who are not known, they get to know them. Sunday Mba was known because of his exploit playing in the 2013 World African Cup of Nations, which we eventually won. So I think that when you play in continental or global tournaments like the World Cup, it creates awareness, it exposes you, and it comes to a lot of advantage. So I think that the players knew, or they know the advantage that comes to playing the World Cup, and they wouldn't want to dent it. So basically, I would think that the players came to do their best. Unfortunately, there was little or less tactical ability to blend this effort to galvanize them to get on what we want. That's the number one error. Now, no team in the, I can't remember any team that goes to a World Cup qualification and sack their coach and employ 3 coaches plus a Gabon 4 within a space of World Cup qualifiers. I've never seen in recent times. And Super Eagles just broke a record. So I created a record. I think that's where the problem is. So the fact that we do not give enough time to the backroom staff to manage the affairs of the team, even when they are right or wrong, is another problem on its own. So we blame the NFF for not having that patience enough to swallow the piece and give enabling environment for the coaches to soar high. If we had given Pesero the opportunity to continue, and then we get to this point, we can now obviously open our heart to say, Pesero, go. But we didn't. We allowed Nigerians who were clouded with judgments in the heart, to override the effort of a man who took us to the finals of the African competition because of his playing style, and we sacked him. We got Finidi George. So we have an administrative setup that do not have decision of their own, but rather they believe that instead of blaming them, they look for somebody to, push the blame to, and the person gets fired, and they employ someone else. Eric Chell, who shouldn't be blamed for obvious reason, came into the party knowing that this is where we are now, took the mantle of leadership, and of course he will be responsible because the game of coaches is you're hired and one day you will be sacked. So for me, what we saw yesterday was, you can say abysmal, but you cannot rule out the fact that coaches' input should have been made. Proper checkup of the players invited, know where to play, and all that. We have players everywhere. So you invited 24, and that 24, you are accountable for that 24. How they play, how the result that they get, you are accountable for it, and he should be blamed too. So in all of this, I think that we all need to blame us, and Nigerians too, who are not contented, who thinks that we should get more from these Super Eagles, even when we know that the quality of the Super Eagles is dependent on the player that we have across and the coach input. But yet sometimes we overlook some of these things, and then we pour out our emotions so much without objectivity. So we too need to be blamed. But in all, the boys make their money in Europe. They come to honor the national team. If they don't deliver, who will you blame? Instantly you blame the coach. So I think the bulk of the blame goes to the NFF and the Eric Chair, the manager or the backroom staff. But will you not sack them? No. You are going to achieve prosecute the remaining games and see what becomes of them. For me, I think that the pain is the masses. The masses who wanted to see or who desire to see the national team, the flag of Nigeria being flown in USA, Mexico, and Canada next year. Unfortunately, that will be diminished. It tells that administratively, we have not gotten it correctly. You talk about hunger from players. You think they don't have Osimhen plays with his whole heart. Some of the players are committed to the Super Eagles. They deliver 100% over 100 whenever they are called upon. What about these players? So I think that it is painful when you have played. I remember the likes of George Weah, who won the Ballon d'Or, and he's one player who never played in the World Cup. It can be very painful. And if you ask George Weah why, he said because there was no privilege of position for them to qualify to play the World Cup. So it is painful when you play your heart in Europe and then you come back home and you're not given opportunity because of the level of quality in your national team who cannot help you. Osimhen was practically angry in one of the games. They should have won, and they lost in Uyo, and we saw that reaction because a player who gives his all and the other players cannot compliment for them to get the result, it doesn't get less than that. So I understand the emotion that comes to salty. So I think that all of this is aggregated into one. Lack of commitment by some players, lack of administrative setup by the NFF, and lack of tactical understanding of the players who have brought aboard to play for the Super Eagles by the coaches. So all of this put together brought the downfall of our national team. And somebody will look at it and say, wow, woe behind the Super Eagles. It's unfortunate, but this is where we have found ourselves, and something drastically needs to be done. Otherwise, we'll repeat the mistake of old.
All right. So